New R-Vees are supposed to be the upgrade. Instead, they're becoming a warning label.
Might have some trouble finding that perfect ride.
Situation's only getting worse day by day.
Prices are getting slashed, service yards are packed, and owners are discovering problems before the first trip even ends. And it's definitely not just a few bad builds. Something changed inside the factories. The pace got faster, the margins got tighter, and the shortcuts didn't stay hidden. They showed up as leaks, electrical faults, and slide outs that never quite lined up. But here's where it gets worse. The resale market is already reacting. Values are dropping before most owners even unpack. So what actually broke, and who decided this was good enough? Let's start with the decision that quietly rewired the entire industry. New should be better. It isn't. Brand new motorhomes are failing before their first road trip, not after years of vibration and weather, before the first campsite. In June 2025, the Wall Street Journal detailed repeated delivery day defects across the industry, from leaking roof seams to electrical systems that tripped breakers during dealer prep. Units advertised as turnkey were already sitting behind service bays. Walk a dealership lot and look closely. You will see fresh inventory, tagged for warranty review, slide outs misaligned, trim separating at the corners. Appliances that have never cooked a meal already waiting on parts approval. These are not aging machines, they are weeks old. Early life failure is the red flag. Mechanical systems usually fail after wear. When problems appear immediately, something upstream shifted. Materials, labor rhythm, inspection discipline. One of those variables moved. Delivery inspections are meant to catch defects before keys change hands. When problems slip past that checkpoint, it signals strain within the system. Pre-delivery checklists grow longer, while build timelines grow shorter. The overlap between those two trends explains why fresh inventory sometimes carries unresolved issues onto dealer lots. Here is the uncomfortable truth. What changed was not the customer, it was the factory. From that point, the real investigation begins. The ownership shift. Most buyers believe they are choosing between competing heritage brands. The logos differ, the floor plans look unique, the brochures tell separate stories. In reality, market concentration reshaped the field. Thor Industries and Forest River together control roughly 80% of motorhome production in the United States. That consolidation altered the pace of decision-making. Acquisitions accelerated through the past 2 decades. Tiffin Motorhomes, long regarded for family ownership and hands-on oversight, was sold to Thor Industries in the year 2020. When independent builders become subsidiaries, the expectations change. Publicly traded parents answer to quarterly earnings calls, not campground reputations. This is not a moral argument. It is structural math. Capital turnover speed increases under corporate reporting pressure. Inventory must move, output must scale, margins must expand across brands simultaneously. Consolidation also centralizes purchasing power. Bulk supplier contracts reduce per unit cost, but limit flexibility. When multiple brands draw from the same component pools, differentiation narrows behind the scenes. Standardization improves accounting efficiency. Yet it can dilute the distinctive practices that once defined smaller, independent builders across regional markets. When build velocity becomes a measurable metric, craftsmanship competes with calendar deadlines, and velocity usually wins. That pressure moves downstream to the floor itself. If this breakdown is helping you see what most buyers miss, take a second to like the video, subscribe for deeper industry analysis, and share your experience below. Throughput culture. Inside many motorhome plants, compensation does not mirror automotive factories. Automobile workers are typically paid hourly, encouraging consistent pace and corrective attention. In much of the motorhome industry, teams operate under piece rate systems. Payment aligns with units completed, not minutes invested. That incentive reshapes behavior. If a worker pauses to realign a cabinet or reroute wiring away from a sharp edge, output slows. Slower output reduces daily earnings for the team. The rational response is momentum. Finish the unit. Keep the line moving. This is not about blaming workers. It is about incentive architecture. Systems reward what they measure. When units per day dominate the scoreboard, meticulous inspection becomes secondary. Minor misalignments become someone else's problem down the road. Inspection windows shrink when daily output targets rise. Quality control teams may review finished units quickly rather than thoroughly. Minor misalignments pass because stopping the line disrupts quotas. Over time, those small compromises accumulate. Each overlooked detail becomes part of a larger reliability pattern that surfaces months after delivery. Throughput culture compresses time between stages. Inspection windows narrow. Small defects slip forward, multiplying as the build advances. And when speed is king, materials become the next variable to optimize. Material substitution. Engineering decisions follow the same economic gravity. Traditional aluminum framing and replaceable panel systems cost more in labor and components. To reduce weight and speed assembly, many manufacturers shifted to laminated wall construction. Fiberglass skin is glued to Luan plywood, which is bonded to foam insulation. It forms a light, rigid sandwich. On paper, it works. On the highway, vibration tests every seam. Over time, roof sealant can crack. When moisture enters and reaches Luan, the plywood absorbs water. Adhesive layers weaken. The fiberglass skin separates, creating bubbles known as delamination. Once delamination begins, reversal is not simple. Injecting adhesive cannot restore rotted wood fibers. Large sections often require panel replacement, if repair is even authorized under warranty. The cost savings at assembly multiply across thousands of units, but the risk transfers quietly to owners. Material substitution rarely appears dramatic during assembly. Adhesives cure, panels bond, surfaces look smooth. The vulnerability emerges under vibration, moisture, and temperature shifts. What appears solid in a climate-controlled plant may respond differently after thousands of highway miles, and seasonal changes expose structural weak points. Cost reductions at scale rarely announce themselves. They reveal their consequences months later. Failure does not hit the factory first. It reaches the driveway instead. The approval chain. When a new motorhome breaks, you assume the dealer will fix it quickly. That assumption is wrong. Most dealers cannot begin major warranty repairs without manufacturer authorization. Every repair starts with photographs, written diagnostics, and a claim submission through a corporate portal. Service managers often describe the process the same way. They document the defect, submit labor estimates, and wait. Approval may take days, sometimes weeks. If labor hours exceed preset limits, corporate reviewers request more documentation. Each step slows the clock. This structure is not built for speed. It is built for cost containment. Central approval allows the manufacturer to monitor every warranty dollar before it is spent. From a corporate balance sheet, that makes sense. From an owner's driveway, it feels like paralysis. During that delay, payments continue. Insurance remains active. Storage fees accumulate. Time becomes the hidden currency. The longer approval takes, the more the burden shifts quietly onto the owner. Corporate review layers also shift accountability away from the service desk. Technicians may diagnose the issue quickly, yet approval authority sits elsewhere. That separation reduces urgency because the person facing the customer does not control the repair decision. Time stretches while paperwork circulates between departments, instead of tools moving under the hood. A separate bottleneck compounds the problem. Capacity mismatch. Production expanded rapidly in recent years. Factories increased daily output to meet demand spikes. Dealership service departments did not scale at the same pace. Repair infrastructure lagged behind assembly growth. Drive past large dealer networks. And look behind the showroom. You will see rows of motorhomes parked tightly together, waiting for attention. Some sit for months. Service bays operate at capacity, yet backlogs stretch deeper into the calendar. Parts availability adds another constraint. Industry reports and service bulletins reference delays on slide mechanisms, control boards, and specialty fittings. When a component is backordered, the entire repair pauses. A single unavailable part can immobilize a unit indefinitely. Production lines can complete dozens of units per day. Service departments cannot clear defects at the same rate. Units accumulate faster than they are resolved. The imbalance grows quietly until yards resemble storage lots. Service backlogs create a secondary market signal. When appointment calendars extend months out, prospective buyers grow cautious. Slower sales follow, yet production lines rarely pause immediately. That lag widens the gap between units built and units repaired. Inventory pressure grows quietly behind the showroom facade until pricing reacts. Eventually, the financial impact surfaces in pricing. Depreciation compression. Oversupply meets damaged confidence in the resale market. When buyers hear about delivery defects and extended repair waits, they hesitate. That hesitation lowers demand at the exact moment inventory is rising. Consider a listing that began with a manufacturer-suggested retail price of $129,995. Within months, similar units appear advertised at $101,000. Auction platforms show further deltas when dealers move aging stock through wholesale channels. Depreciation normally follows a gradual slope. Here, the curve steepens. Value falls before meaningful usage occurs. A motorhome with minimal mileage can trade thousands below its original invoice, simply because newer inventory keeps arriving and reputation concerns circulate. When trust weakens, buyers demand deeper discounts to compensate for perceived risk. Dealers respond to floor plan interest pressure by lowering prices again. The cycle reinforces itself. Auction data often exposes the shift first. Wholesale platforms show closing prices that trail retail listings by wide margins. Dealers watch those numbers carefully because they reveal true market appetite. When auction values soften repeatedly, retail pricing must follow. The gap between advertised value and actual transaction price narrows under pressure. As values compress, financing mathematics becomes unavoidable. Long-term loan arithmetic. High purchase prices often lead to extended financing terms. 15 to 20-year loans are not unusual in the motorhome market. Stretching payments lowers monthly cost, making six-figure units appear manageable. The arithmetic hides a mismatch. Many motorhomes experience significant depreciation within the first few years. If the asset value declines faster than principal reduction, owners can become upside down on the loan. Owing more than the unit is worth limits flexibility. Interest compounds across long durations. Even modest rates generate substantial total repayment over 15 or 20 years. Meanwhile, maintenance, insurance, and storage costs continue alongside loan payments. Enthusiasm fades faster than debt. A unit that seemed affordable on a showroom floor can become a long-term financial anchor if resale values soften or reliability disappoints. Extended terms may appear manageable month to month, yet total interest paid over 15 or 20 years can rival the price of a small vehicle. Early payoff becomes difficult when resale values drop quickly. Negative equity limits options, binding owners to assets longer than initially planned. Understanding that imbalance changes how timing is viewed. Carrying cost, reality. Ownership does not pause when a motorhome sits idle. Even when it is parked behind a service bay waiting on authorization or parts, the financial meter keeps running. Insurance premiums remain active because coverage cannot lapse without risking exposure. Storage facilities still charge monthly fees, whether the unit moves or not. Typical insurance on a mid-range motorhome can range from $100 to $200 per month, depending on state and coverage level. Storage in many metropolitan areas can add another $150 to $300 monthly. That means $300 to $500 leaves your account every month before fuel, maintenance, or loan payments are considered. If a repair delay stretches to 3 months, that is nearly $1,000 in holding cost. At 6 months, the number doubles. Idle time compounds loss, because depreciation does not pause either. You pay to own a machine you cannot use. Idle time also increases psychological pressure. When a motorhome sits unused while payments continue, owners often feel compelled to sell quickly just to stop the financial bleed. That urgency weakens negotiating leverage. Buyers sense hesitation and price accordingly. What began as temporary inconvenience quietly becomes a forced decision shaped by accumulating monthly expense. That realization changes how downtime should be measured. Manufacturing lineage. Model year alone does not tell the full story. Ownership lineage often matters more than the badge on the grille. When family-run builders were acquired by larger corporations, procurement policies, material sourcing, and production metrics shifted quietly behind the scenes. Take the sale of Tiffin Motorhomes in the year 2020. Before acquisition, purchasing decisions reflected smaller-scale oversight. After integration into a larger group, supply contracts and margin targets aligned with corporate frameworks. Those structural shifts influence build consistency, even if the exterior design appears similar. Comparing a pre-acquisition build from 2018 with a unit produced several years later can reveal subtle differences. Cabinet hardware weight, insulation thickness, and wall construction details may vary. Era becomes a more reliable indicator of assembly philosophy than marketing language. Supplier changes often follow ownership transitions. Fasteners, adhesives, insulation grades, and cabinetry hardware may shift to meet new cost targets. These differences rarely appear in brochures, yet they influence long-term durability. Comparing part numbers across build years can reveal where materials were upgraded or quietly downgraded after corporate control altered procurement strategies. Understanding lineage requires research, but it offers leverage. A different production model presents another path entirely. Scale versus craft. Large-scale manufacturing rewards uniform throughput. Smaller builders often operate under different constraints. Factory direct and limited production manufacturers reduce reliance on dealer networks and shareholder reporting cycles. That changes incentive structures. Without floor inventory financed through extensive dealer networks, smaller producers can focus on build order rather than volume targets. Fewer units per year may translate to longer assembly windows per unit. Labor teams remain accountable to direct customer feedback instead of distant corporate dashboards. Distribution differences also affect cost allocation. Eliminating dealership markup can allow more of the purchase price to support materials and labor rather than layered commissions. While smaller companies are not immune to defects, scale alters pressure points. Customer feedback cycles move differently in smaller operations. When complaints flow directly to decision makers, adjustments can happen quickly. In larger networks, reports pass through layers before change occurs. That delay often means issues persist across multiple production batches. Structural responsiveness, not marketing, frequently separates durable builders from volume-driven manufacturers. Lower scale does not guarantee perfection. It shifts the priorities embedded in the system. Beyond domestic options, an entirely separate regulatory environment offers contrast. The import window. United States law allows vehicles at least 25 years old to be imported without meeting modern federal standards. That 25-year import rule opens access to Japanese motorhomes built under a different inspection regime. In Japan, the Shaken program imposes strict periodic inspections that grow more expensive as vehicles age. Because inspection costs rise, many owners sell low-mileage units earlier than mechanical necessity would require. It is not uncommon to find Toyota-based camper conversions with 30,000 or 40,000 miles that remain structurally sound. Many utilize commercial diesel engines engineered for delivery fleets and long service life. These imported motorhomes have already absorbed the steepest portion of their depreciation curve. Purchase prices often range between $20,000 and $30,000, far below new domestic models. With much of the value decline behind them, downside risk narrows. Importing requires paperwork, shipping coordination, and compliance checks. Yet those steps are predictable and measurable. Unlike uncertain warranty timelines, the import process follows defined stages with clear costs. Buyers who calculate shipping, registration, and inspection fees upfront can evaluate total exposure before committing capital, reducing surprises after purchase. A fully depreciated asset behaves differently than a brand new purchase. Carrying cost drain. Owning motorhomes does not pause when travel plans stall. Even when parked and unused, expenses continue. Insurance remains active to protect against damage, theft, or weather events. Storage facilities still charge monthly rates, whether the unit moves or not. Loan payments remain fixed, regardless of mechanical condition. Average insurance for a mid-range motorhome commonly runs between $100 and $200 per month, depending on state and coverage limits. Storage in many suburban areas ranges from $150 to $300 monthly. Add a loan payment that may exceed $800, and monthly holding cost can approach or exceed $1,000 before fuel or maintenance. When repairs stretch 3 months, that represents roughly $3,000 in idle expense. At 6 months, the figure doubles. Depreciation continues simultaneously, eroding value while the unit sits. Downtime compounds cost because value declines while bills remain steady. Many owners underestimate this layer because it feels invisible. There is no dramatic breakdown, no flashing warning light. It is simply money leaving quietly every month. That slow erosion often matters more than a single repair invoice, because it continues regardless of whether the motorhome moves or remains stationary. Hidden expenses reshape the ownership equation. That financial weight invites a closer look at build history. Manufacturing lineage strategy. Model badges often distract from more meaningful details. Manufacturing lineage frequently reveals more than marketing brochures. Ownership transitions change procurement standards, supplier contracts, and inspection practices even when exterior styling appears similar. The sale of Tiffin motorhomes in the year 2020 illustrates this shift. Prior to acquisition, purchasing decisions flowed through a family-led structure. After integration into a larger corporate group, supply chains aligned with broader cost targets. Those adjustments influence material choices, production tempo, and internal oversight. Comparing a unit built in 2018 with one assembled several years later may show differences in cabinet hardware weight, insulation density, or sealant application. Era can signal philosophy. Smaller oversight frameworks often allow slower assembly and direct accountability. Build sheets, supplier lists, and ownership dates tell stories brochures never mention. When control shifts, so do tolerances and inspection habits. Buyers who trace that lineage often spot differences others miss. Production year becomes a financial signal rather than a cosmetic detail on a dealership placard. Recognizing lineage requires research, yet it provides leverage. Production scale introduces another decisive variable: scale versus craft. Large production networks operate under throughput expectations. High annual volume demands steady output and standardized processes. Smaller, factory direct builders function differently. Without expansive dealer networks and shareholder reporting cycles, they often manage lower yearly totals and longer build timelines. Distribution structure shapes incentives. When sales occur directly from factory to customer, there is less layered markup. Fewer intermediaries can mean more of the purchase price supports labor and materials rather than commissions. That does not eliminate defects, yet it shifts pressure points. Lower volume shops may allow craftsmen additional time per unit. Extended assembly windows encourage attention to detail rather than rapid handoffs between stations. Feedback from buyers flows directly to production rather than through corporate layers. When scale compresses, accountability tightens. Fewer units mean mistakes are visible and reputations are fragile. Smaller builders survive through repeat buyers and word of mouth rather than quarterly investor calls. That structural difference often changes how risk is distributed across the production chain. When customer relationships drive survival, quality lapses threaten future demand immediately, creating stronger internal pressure to correct issues before they spread through subsequent production runs. Scale reduction does not guarantee perfection. Market timing adds the final layer of strategy. Timing window. Dealer inventory is often financed through floor plan loans. These short-term credit lines charge interest on each motorhome sitting unsold. As days on the lot increase, carrying costs rise for the dealer as well. That financial pressure creates predictable behavior. When inventory accumulates and wholesale auction values soften, dealerships adjust pricing to reduce exposure. Interest expense becomes a motivating factor. In oversupplied markets, price reductions can accelerate quickly once carrying costs approach profit margins. Recent listing data shows units originally priced above $120,000 repositioned near $100,000 within months. That compression reflects inventory pressure rather than generosity. Dealers must convert stock into cash before interest erodes remaining margin. End-of-quarter reporting cycles intensify that behavior. When lenders review floor plan balances and dealers review aging inventory reports, discount decisions move faster. Watching listing age, not just sticker price, often reveals when a motorhome has crossed from profitable inventory into costly liability. Dealers facing rising interest accrual may choose to protect cash flow instead of margin, accelerating price adjustments that would otherwise take months to appear publicly. If you're shopping, or even thinking about shopping, this is the part most people skip, and the part that costs them the most. The factory shortcuts, the service delays, the depreciation math, none of it shows up in the brochure, but it shows up in your bank account. If this breakdown helped you see the market more clearly, hit like so more buyers don't walk in blind. Subscribe for deeper, no-hype analysis of what's really happening behind the scenes, and share your experience in the comments, good or bad, because real owner stories expose patterns faster than any ad ever will.